Do you want to know how to get a kid to stop screaming? I'm Nicholeen Peck, and I teach all over the world about parenting, good communication, how to build strong family bonds, child development, and education, all through the lens of the principle self-government. And in this video, we're talking about screaming. In this video, we're going to talk about why they choose to scream. There is a reason why they scream. They know why they're screaming most of the time. Now, sometimes not. We'll talk about what to do, whether they know why they're screaming or whether they don't, after we have that little discussion about why. So why do children scream? Well, there's lots of reasons, and I'm probably not going to be able to exhaustively list them all. However, I will tell you some of the primary reasons why a person screams. Number one, they scream to get attention. That is the number one reason that a person screams. Whether they are afraid, whether they are sad, whether they are angry, whether they are frustrated, they scream because they want somebody's attention to help them solve their problem. It's part of a person's problem-solving technique when they are a baby. When we are babies, we use the mid and back part of the brain to solve our problems. These emotional centers of the brain do not put all of the cognitive thought pieces together for us into words that we can articulate. They just get us emotionally charged with chemical until we have an outburst to let somebody else know that we have a problem. So what is going on when a child is screaming? Well, they're probably in the wrong part of their brain as they're trying to solve their problem and get your attention. So does this mean that they should get your attention when they scream? They should get a certain kind of attention, but they shouldn't think that the screaming actually solved their problems. They should have someone address the screaming first and then help them address their problem. My children know that I'm never going to solve any problem that they have unless we get calm first. That is one of the number one rules of self-government. If you've subscribed to this channel already, then you know I talk about calmness a lot and how to get to calmness. And I've got my Calm Parenting Toolkit that I'm giving out to people all the time on here. And it is because calmness is so very important for parents and for children. If you're not calm, then you're not in the front brain. If you're not in the front brain, you do not have 100% ability to solve your problem. So the first stop needs to be, wait, what part of the brain are we in? Let's go forward. Let's get to calm. Then we'll solve our situation. So when my children are screaming to get attention, I get them calm first. We have a process that I use to help them get to that calmness. Then I help them address their problem. Now, some people scream for other reasons, though. Sometimes they scream because they want to manipulate, they want to intimidate, they want to instill fear or maybe panic. They want you as the parent to feel like you don't know what to do to handle this. They've lost it. You're clueless. You don't want to lose it. Maybe you don't trust yourself. As soon as they start screaming, that can give the message that whatever you are doing, whatever you are saying, is not working or is even somehow bad. This is a power struggle technique to try to gain an upper hand in an argument. So if the child perceives that they are at war or in an argument or have to get their way with their parents, they'll go to that next level of a volatility just to try to get the upper hand. So what do you do then? All right, now it does start with pre-teaching. So if you've already learned on this channel the skill accepting no answers, then you know that accepting no answers is what a person is going to need in order to not cross over a certain boundary line. Well, choosing to scream at another person is a boundary line that we don't cross over. So usually a parent has told their child, don't scream. So we need to make sure that they know what the steps are to accepting a no answer. There are 4 of those steps, and they are taught in that children's book, Quarter Earns a Quarter, which is part of that set of 4 children's books that I have that teach all of the 4 basic skills of self-government. Once they know that skill set and you've pre-taught it ahead of time, then you can say, okay, I'm going to give you a no answer about something. Here's the no answer. And as soon as they hear the term no answer, then in their brain, they start thinking about all of those skills to accepting a no answer that they need in order to be successful. So this programs their brain to go into front brain where they can start using their skills properly and accept the no answer about the screaming. But they also sometimes may need another skill for handling their problem. Let's say they feel really passionate about something, or they feel misunderstood, or like you don't get it for whatever it is that they're talking about. Then they need another skill. What is that skill that they need? They need another one of those 4 basic skills, which is the skill disagreeing appropriately. If we pre-teach our children how to disagree appropriately with us, and there are 7 steps to that skill, then they can learn how to get their way without screaming. They can learn how to get understood without screaming. And if we pre-teach them that they need to use their disagree appropriately skill at the moment when we can feel that they might be getting frustrated or might be wanting to start a power struggle with us, then we can put them on the right track to success where they don't even have to go down that pathway to doing that negative screaming behavior anymore. Also, when a person gets to a point where they are at a high level of frustration, they are at panic, they are at emotional overload, they are at fully back brain, they may want to scream just to release a lot of those endorphins, just to feel like it's done, just to feel like they have hit their top, their emotional max. Some people are conditioned to hit their emotional max before they feel like they can get calm. This is very sad when people condition their children or themselves to be this way. There is a way that we can change that conditioning, but if they are conditioned like that, that could be why they're going all the way to the yelling, the hitting, the screaming, maybe the violent stuff every single time. What happens is when a person does not understand that they can choose for themselves to use a skill or their own self-government, or that they can analyze the thoughts that are in their own head, then what they do is they passively get pulled on this emotional track that's going in the brain where the chemicals ramp up, and then they release with this huge emotional burst, which then releases endorphins as if they just exercised or ran a hill or did something very difficult. And then after that, there's a calm that comes after that big release. Now, sure, we want them to get to calm, but isn't it better if they choose the calm rather than just having it happen to them and them feeling like they have to unload like that every single time to ever find calmness? Then they would be completely emotionally dependent upon those chemical reactions in the brain. It's so much better if a person can engage thought at every stage of their interactions with other people or even their frustrations that they're having, so that they can keep themselves in front brain and be empowered by actually solving their problem instead of just emotionally venting and getting nothing out of it. Sure, some people tell themselves that when they emotionally vent like that, that then they're understood, that then they did something because it feels so powerful. But in the end, they didn't solve their problem. Sure, somebody might baby them, coddle them, pander them, do whatever it is that they wanted them to do, and it could seem like their problem was solved. But really, all they're doing is thinking of the person as a problem and trying to solve them. They're not really helping the person see how in the future they could communicate better or solve their problem better. So the whole idea of self-government parenting is to be proactive instead of reactive. So many parenting techniques and voices out there encourage parents to stay on the reactive side of parenting, when that proactive side is so much more powerful. If we teach our children proactively, what is calmness? How does our brain work? What part of our brain does the actual problem solving? And what part of our brain could actually create more problems? What does our thoughts have to do with our emotions and our feelings at the time? By the way, I'm not going to go into detail there because I've got multiple videos about emotions and thoughts and feelings here on this channel, and you can find more information about those things. Do our children know the skills that they need for when things don't go their way, when they're going to feel frustrated? Do they know how to accept no answers? 4 steps to that. Do they know how to disagree appropriately? 7 steps to that. Do they also know that if they don't use their skills, that we have skills that we're prepared to use to help them remember how to use their skills and to get to that free and liberating part of their brain, that front cognitive part of the brain where they can do their thinking? Do they know the words that we will say to them? The exact words? Because we can teach them those things. And then they don't have to feel as much anxiety and stress when they're worried about a circumstance or when they're worried that someone's going to get mad at them for something. Now, this brings me to correcting the behaviors if a person keeps going out of control. If a person starts screaming and screaming, I would correct them because they're not using a calm face, voice, and body. They're not accepting a no answer, or maybe they're not disagreeing appropriately. There are 7 steps to a proper correction. Those are taught in my TSG parenting course at my website, teachingselfgovernment.com. But if they continue to go out of control, meaning they don't accept the correction, they're like, I don't care, because their full back brain, they've just gone berserk. Then I use my intensive teaching skills. There are certain skills that I use when they're little, when they're young children and their prefrontal cortexes are small. And then there's certain skills that I use when they're a little bit older to help them get to a place, choose that place of calmness within the brain so that we can really get understood and solve their problems. We are just scratching the surface here. There is so much more that I can teach you. There's calm resources that are free on my website, teachingselfgovernment.com. There's also courses and trainings. There's trainings from me personally, but there's also online courses that you can take, and there's books you can read and helps, all at the website, teachingselfgovernment.com. So go there, and we'll see you there.